My name is Shauna, and I'm a tenant at Casa Kirk Apartments. Feeling really good about the buildings that's coming up, and Claretian's paying a part of it. And I stay in one of Claretian's sites. That makes me feel good because it makes me feel that I'm a part of something. I'm a part of an improvement for the neighborhood. I mean,
in 2008 and 2009, there were over 36,000 new foreclosure filings in the city of Chicago. So far in 2010, there are 9,000 properties that have entered foreclosure. This foreclosure crisis is sweeping the nation and hitting Chicago very hard. Steel mills fueled this neighborhood for nearly a century. Many of the homes and existing infrastructure were built for that era. United States Steel Corporation, which bordered the neighborhood to the east along the lake, began cutbacks in the early 1980s and eventually shut down for good in 1992. But a new development at that site will impact the future of South Chicago.
After the mills closed, the first constructions that began to take place was through efforts from Claretian Associates.
The Claretian Associates is a community development corporation that has been in existence since the mid-1990s. They service about 2,500 families a year through housing services and other types of assistance. Mr. Neil Bosenko from the South Chicago Chamber of Commerce also recognizes Claretian's pivotal role in the community.
The Claretians have been involved with their staff in the schools, in the business, the arts, the security issues. They're everywhere we are, and so we interface all the time. And they're careful in their strategies to make sure that they don't water themselves down and lose track of what their fundamental purpose is, which is housing.
Their ongoing projects are affordable and sustainable rental properties for low-income seniors and families. These include Via Guadalupe, Casa Kirk, and the Rehab South Chicago.
And when you have a block that you've done 5 new homes on, and yet you have 2 foreclosed homes that aren't yours, but they're existing homes that were already there, those are the kinds of things that start to drag on a community. So the efforts that you've made and all the investment that you've made suddenly becomes, jeopardized.
The foreclosure thing has just really caught up with us, because when they went into the Bush community or the South Chicago community and offered property owners to have houses that were worth $17,000 to $20,000, $245,000 to refinance, and so now we're seeing the consequences in South Chicago.
In 2008 and 2009, National Recovery Acts were passed to help stimulate the economy. These acts started new national programs to address the impact of vacant and foreclosed homes. These new programs are called the Neighborhood Stabilization Program 1 and 2. The City of Chicago has received $153 million to combat foreclosures and abandonment. Claretian Associates is partnering with the city as a qualified developer.
I think that there is a variety of neighborhoods that are looking at multifamily. However, I think it's really critical to what kind of housing stock you're dealing with. So, although it's not that we don't care about the single-family homes, right now what we're finding the huge amount of emphasis needs to be on is those multifamily buildings, because that's where you're going to make the biggest impact right away. So we need to make the largest impact possible up front and then go in and do more.
My name is Valentina Gamboa Turner, and I purchased my home with Claretian Associates through the New Homes for Chicago program. The trend has been that larger families with smaller kids are moving out into this community. We need to support those families. We need to support the kids, and we need to support the parents.
As we look towards what's the future of South Chicago, is other development plans that are on the boards right now. For example, the USX site.
When the United States Steel Corporation shut down completely, almost 500 acres of vacant lakefront land was left behind. This plot of land is larger than Chicago's downtown loop. Over the last 18 years, plans have been discussed to redevelop the area, but never came to bear.
going to probably start as a retail development and then move into mixed use in the former Southworks property. That could either kill every community shopping district on the south side and Indiana, or that we could feed off of that, and they can feed off of us.
The time may now be right for plans to move forward. A Chicago-based development and management firm, McCaffrey Interests, has partnered with the U.S. Steel Corporation to create the Chicago Lakeside Development LLC. This public-private partnership has received the green light from the Chicago Plan Commission for Phase 1 of their development plans.
It's the last developable lakefront property in the city. That is within a block of our target area. So that really defines what's going to happen to us. We realize it's going to take 20, 30, 50 years to develop that property. However, what happens here in South Chicago will critically affect that, as well as what happens there will definitely affect what happens in South Chicago.
If all things were to go according to plan, the Chicago Lakeside development could begin construction in 2012. The whole project would include over 13,000 new homes, over 17 million square feet of retail space, a new high school, and a 1,500 slip marina. This development would affect Chicagoans citywide, but the scope of this project would most immediately be felt in the community of South Chicago. While the development of the USX site would provide substantial benefits for South Chicago, the stabilization of the community rests on the balance between new development and affordability.
In order for a neighborhood to be stabilized, it needs to be affordable to a variety of different price points. Definitely distinguishing between stabilization and affordability, but realizing that you really can't have one without the other.
Claretian's presence and innovation in South Chicago cannot be overstated. This nonprofit opened their doors for the first time when U.S. Steel closed theirs for good. Who knows where South Chicago would be had it not been for Claretian's leadership towards sustainability. The future of South Chicago hinges on many things. The development of the USX site would have lasting effects on this neighborhood. National foreclosure efforts like the Neighborhood Stabilization Program can help elevate the neighborhood out of current economic hardships. Whatever road or roads are taken, the Claretian Associates will be working for the sake and prosperity of South Chicago.
That we as a community are responsible for what happens here. And I think that if we can get together and be more unified, I think that South Chicago will be a beautiful place to stay.
The solution is not just gentrification or bringing in outside housing for different people. It's also giving hope to people who are invested and have been here and have a history here.
Now, I never thought that it could be so hard to be touched by the light, then left in the dark. That cool compassion my heart once met with, swept away with the tide of a life left breathless on a cold day. Oh, Now the undertow could drag me on down, but the current of heaven's gonna bring me around to the spark of a man, to the soul of the new. Every loss from this world helps to widen my view on a cold day. Oh yeah, it's a cold day. The wind runs along on its lonely way. Oh yeah, it's a cold day. But every new day is a new chance to stay. You're gonna tear me apart.